the time we reach my rule.
We're all set to start. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the April 18th Town Planning and Zoning meeting. Oscar Parenti, our chairman, could not be with us this evening, so I'll be chairing the meeting, and we'll ask everyone around the table to please introduce themselves.
Tom Tarenti.
Paul Kaplan.
Kevin Cornell.
Judy Smith.
Jack Demerjen, zoning administrator.
First item on our agenda, review of the minutes from April 4th. I'm not sure we'll have a quorum.
Abstentions count, so we
Okay.
can all.
Hopefully, everybody's had a chance to at least read them, and
You can get them, I left them out for you, Paul.
This is part of what you emailed or not?
No, this was hard copies.
Oh, okay.
A hard copy in the folder.
so that meeting was just Oscar, Paul, and myself.
Yeah.
So Paul would be the only one that could make a motion.
Oh, that'll be important. Just
Take your time, Paul.
Potential.
I think even if you weren't there, as long as you went out of your way to read the minutes and watch the video, I think you might be able to vote.
I'm moving and voting.
I'll move that we approve the April 4th, right, 2023 minutes.
Okay, is there a second?
Anyone can second the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
3, 0, 1. Got it.
Next item is old business. Does anyone have old business for the commission?
Jack,
Yes.
what is the status of the language for the text change regarding the number of cannabis retailers?
Oh, that's been enacted.
Okay.
Yes, we enacted language that only permits one retailer operating in town.
Okay, then what is still out there at COG for us?
Currently, we have our renewable energy structures.
Okay.
That we're waiting for a response on. I just checked in on that today. And then I will be sending out, we just got another text amendment application from an applicant that is looking to amend some uses in the commercial zones, which hasn't even been, I just got it today, hasn't even been sent out yet.
Okay, so if that's old business, do we have any new business?
The only
New business, I think, is what Ozzy had kind of introduced when we were at the last hearing. We wanted to clarify and clean up the language that this applicant is kind of certainly not subject to, but we want to clean it up for on a moving forward basis.
For the outdoor displays and
Yeah,
outdoor storage?
Right,
yeah.
but I think Ozzy should be part of those discussions.
And that would be of our own initiative?
Yeah. Mhm.
Separate from the applicant?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Then we'll move to Jack's report.
I don't have much. I know I mentioned last time, with the nice weather coming in, I have a lot of residential applications for pools, decks, patios, things like that. I know I mentioned, we do have a text amendment, that I just received today, to amend some uses in the commercial zone. So that'll probably be on our agenda in about a month. And then I would expect either at our next meeting or the meeting after, depending on the regional planning authority responses, that renewable structure language that we can review. Other than that, I don't have too much. If anyone has anything for me, I'm all ears.
Were you able to, or could you please just check the surrounding towns about how, oh, they did. Is this,
Yeah, I have 3 of them here.
Good, that's
Three
what I
of them
was
that
looking for.
seemed fairly comparable to us.
Yeah.
The one that seemed the most similar to us right now was actually Stratford's language. So I would go through that a little bit and, see what we like, what we don't like. But I also had Fairfield and Guilford as well.
But that's material we'll use when we work on.
And I also, I got a couple, more than a couple, building sizes for our commercial zones.
Yeah.
There is one light industrial property on this. I was really just looking for a range of buildings to give us a good idea of kind of where our threshold is. So I took a variety of properties along the
Which
post
one was the
road.
LI?
48 Boston Post Road is the Amazon distribution. That is light industrial, but just used it because it was a large example. Tried to go with some smaller ones as well.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
How about the assisted living facility on Indian River Road?
They're, to my knowledge, I think CO'd. I think they were waiting on a couple small details from the health department and a couple outstanding electrical problems with the electrical inspector. But other than that, they're good to go.
Certainly advertising all over the place, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Smith Farms moving along,
So
too.
moving along, Smith Farm and Firelight.
Right.
Yeah. Pedal to the metal over there.
Do a nice job.
I haven't had any issues as of yet, yeah.
All right, if there's nothing else for Jack to report, we will move to our public hearing portion of the meeting. And this is a petition to amend the Orange zoning regulations submitted by OSJ of Orange Post LLC. They want to amend additional outdoor display and storage outside retail stores in the C1 and C2 zones. This public hearing was opened on April 4th. So we'll ask Attorney Miles to come to the podium, name and address for the record, and if you could give a little recap for the commission members who were not here last time, although I'm sure they watched the video.
Of course. So everything's on. I'm good?
You're good?
Okay. For the record, my name is Megan Miles. I'm a land use attorney with the law firm of Carmody, Torrance, Sandak, and Hennessy with my office at 195 Church Street in New Haven. My firm represents OSJ of Orange Post LLC, and they are the property owner of 53 Boston Post Road. To refresh everyone's recollection, that is the site that was formerly a Best Buy and a PetSmart, and my client has a building permit, I believe, issued, and they're doing a tenant fit out to open a Ocean State job lot at that site. So with me tonight, again, is my colleague from Carmody, Dan Chappell, and also Evan Portno of Ocean State Job Lot on behalf of the applicant. So between us, hopefully we can answer all your questions. My recollection is that the last meeting was continued for a couple of reasons. One, so that board members who were not in attendance could get themselves up to speed. And then also, I believe Jack was given some homework to do some investigation for the properties elsewhere. I don't believe I had specific marching orders,
No.
but yes. Yeah.
But you were intending,
If I remember, you were intending to put, just go over the size of the displays that you were talking about.
Oh, sure.
The 40 to 75 is entitled to the 185. Like if you could just give us a recap.
Yes. So as proposed in the application, for tenant size or buildings or tenant spaces that are 0 to 75,000 square feet, they can have 10 square feet on the sidewalk and 50 square feet of display and storage in the parking area. That's the current standard. The applicant has proposed an additional provision that allows for, I believe it is buildings. And you know what? I should put the text in front of me here. It is, give me 1 second. Tenants of such plazas occupying 40 to 75,000 square feet, so larger tenants in that range, they can have an additional 185 square feet of seasonal display on the sidewalk only. So no changes are proposed to the review process. You still need a special permit review, and you still have to comply with all of the remaining standards for outdoor display and storage in the C1 and C2. The current reg also, which remains unchanged, for buildings larger than 75,000 square feet, you can have up to, I believe it is up to 3,500 square feet of outdoor display and storage. So there's a significant difference for less than 75,000 square feet and greater than 75,000 square feet. So that's as proposed right now.
Best Buy was how many square feet?
So the space is, give me 1 second. Evan, do you remember? I know.
Oh, yeah, I thought
Yeah.
48,000, 45,000, 48,000.
PetSmart or something like that.
Yes, PetSmart is
Here we go.
12.5, and the former Best Buy is 45,600. Plus or
Yes.
minus.
The building as a whole is a little over 58,000 square feet.
Yes.
Okay.
So in your mind, Attorney Miles, how would that space get apportioned between Best Buy and the contiguous PetSmart? Is that a landlord decision? Is it by frontage or?
So for this site specifically, we would come back for a special permit request that would be all of the outdoor display and storage rights for seasonal items. So the 185 square feet would be in front of the Ocean State tenant space. And the PetSmart, under this new regulation, wouldn't have a right to that. It's limited to the larger space. I believe also that Ocean State Job Lot would like to use up the 26 square feet permitted for outdoor propane tank storage for sale. So realistically, for this site, all that would be left to allocate to PetSmart would be the 50 square feet in the parking lot, should they apply for that in the future. But that is not anticipated to be part of the project here. But to answer your question, it's here it would work out where the majority of the rights would be broken down to actually be allocated to Ocean State Job Lot, and that would be the special permit approval. I think on a broader scale, though, how it would work out is if you do have a commercial complex where there is something a little more, then it could potentially be allocated by landlord.
Right.
But that'd have to be in the special permit request.
So as with most things, it comes down to, enforcement and what we want to get involved in. Okay, so in a multi-tenanted plaza, which most over the 75,000 square foot range are, if we take a special permit application from the tenant versus the landlord or the owner, right? If we take it from the owner, then we can say it's for the property, and we don't get involved.
We don't get involved, get our
Exactly.
hands dirty.
If there's-
That's a landlord problem to allocate.
Exactly. So the question is there anything in here that limits it, the applicant of the special permit, to the owners of the property? Or is this something that various tenants are going to come in and give us?
Yeah, and I think Ozzy and Judy, I think you were here last time? Okay. I think that was our discussion as well, was that it had to be allocated to the property as a whole, not to the business. And then we got into a separate discussion about how big, anything less than 40,000, should we even talk about it? And we wanted, everyone's input on that as well. But I think we had, at least Ozzy's position was that it had to be to the property as well.
All right, and if it's coming in as a special permit, I'm sorry I wasn't here.
No, I actually have a quick
I was-
question.
Yes, ma'am.
That's relevant to this. In Orange, generally, to file a special permit application, the owner needs to consent and sign.
Correct.
Is that the case in Orange
is,
too?
yes.
So a tenant could not file a special permit
And is
application.
that the case here, by the way?
For this application?
For you?
Yes.
Yes.
It is the owner.
The applicant
Okay.
owns the property. Yes.
good.
Yes.
And it's also, a special permit runs with the land.
Yeah.
It would not run with the tenancy. So,
But I could see where it would be, I don't want to say unfair, but it would be off-putting to tenant numbers 2 and 3 if number 1 happened to beat them to the courthouse and used all of the, came to us
All of the
without the
available.
landlord approval. I mean, I think it's a relevant question.
Right.
Yeah.
So then, if we're getting it by the vehicle of a special permit, we would have to assume that the applicant's going to give us enough information so that we can determine that there's safe passage by on sidewalks, there's.
There is, we
There's 6
do
feet.
have provisions for all
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
bulk
fire
safety standards and
lanes.
everything, yes.
Sidewalks cleared.
Yep, those would remain unchanged.
Okay.
So the kind of discussion we had last time was, this application aside, and I don't think Ozzy had a problem with the application, but the language of various parts of the regulation were less than clear. And we thought we would have everyone look at that and make some suggestions.
Okay.
Yeah, this application sort of highlighted some deficiencies in our outdoor storage
Since we couldn't
regs.
understand it, we needed
Like where did
attorney.
26,
yeah.
where did 26 square feet come from?
Well, it was 10.
It was
It's
to add.
currently
It was
10,
This-
26 is
this
proposed.
Okay, so where did 26 come from? I just,
So that's
inquiring
generally.
minds want to know.
That's generally the square footage of about 3 or 4 propane tank displays outside retail
Gotcha.
buildings. So it was a more practical square
Gotcha.
footage. And I did not bring my tape measure.
Yeah, I was going to say, you missed the fun. We had a
was
tape
a-
measure,
it was
we
very
showed, it was
dramatic.
big.
Yes, I took a tape measure out and did 10 square feet for
Okay.
everyone.
10 square feet is not a lot.
It's not a lot.
Retail display.
I neglected to bring it today.
2 of those panels.
Right, right.
Yes, exactly.
Very clear.
So 26 square feet was a more practical, small area for outdoor display and storage of retailers.
So when Jack's homework was to illustrate for us some of the bigger parcels, because we wanted to see the impact of the new regulation, should it be approved.
And grab a couple of local other towns and see how they did it as well, just for purposes of instruction.
Well, having spent a lot of time building and managing a lot of retail properties like this, I can tell you can easily get extremely out of control. And that's just from the landlord standpoint, not even the town. So, but if we're going to revisit the language and make a differentiation between storage and display and what constitutes seasonal, and that stuff has to be brought in at night, except if it's got a permanent, like their propane tank, makes sense to be outside. That makes perfect sense. Don't necessarily want to store manure out inside, but, unless it's town hall. But, okay.
Tom, do you have any thoughts?
Not particularly. I mean, this doesn't strike me as a very onerous request. You're talking about 185 square feet. That's not a lot.
Right.
185 square feet that still has to meet our safety and bulk
Correct.
regulations as well.
Yep.
Not an insubstantial store, it's a significant size store, so.
I also wanted to note, Jack sent me a copy of his report as well on the buildings that he was viewing, and I noticed that all of the buildings were either over 100,000 square feet or under 40, it seems. So this site, the subject site, is actually kind of unique in that it falls in the middle range with 2 tenants, one being larger. It seems like Orange is characterized by large single retailers or smaller retail shops with a number of small retail spaces. So, yeah.
But from a practical consideration, if you've got a 40,000-foot building, it's probably between 200 and, right around 200 feet deep. So and you've got 200 feet of frontage, so you're talking about taking up 40 feet of frontage with an open entranceway. So it is really,
It's gonna be off the side.
yeah, it's not shouldn't be an issue at the 185.
Yeah.
The commission doesn't have any questions. Are there any comments from the audience?
Magically.
Okay. Then I think we'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, does the commission feel it has enough information to vote?
standpoint, I think Kevin said it pretty well. It's a good-sized store. I mean, it's over 40,000 square feet. Certainly, the parking and the sidewalks there are fairly significant, and our protections are still in place from from the circulation standpoint to keep people out of the parking lot. So I don't see why we wouldn't approve this. I think it certainly benefits the retailer.
Right, so we have to make some findings that it's consistent with the comprehensive plan of development, and clearly in there, I don't have the page, but we do want to support our business sector, and this clearly would help them.
What section of?
The plan.
Oh, I don't have the plan in front of me.
If you want, they do have some, reasons of support in their narrative. I don't know if you want to.
Well, that will
Yeah.
make your reasons of support part of the record.
Okay.
So we have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay. Motion carries.
Yay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm
effective
actually.
date.
Effective date.
We need an effective
If we
date.
could, redo that. An effective date would be a week from today, which would be April 25th.
I'll move and amend my motion for approval to be effective on April 25, 2023.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Jack.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Is there any other business to come before the commission?
I'll move. Oh, go ahead.
So that was for the special permit use?
We
Or that was
amended
for
our
amend?
text.
Okay, so now they're going to
They have to come back with
And
the
we'll see
site plan.
graphically that everything's.
That is correct. Yep. They couldn't do that until we
Gotcha.
amended.
And they did include
did-
some preliminary plans, and
Right.
there were some attachments and.
And they were not, as you said, they're not
Yeah.
going to,
Onerous.
yeah.
Okay. But
So-
when we revisit the language, the type of shopping center you got to have picturing in your mind is like at Liberty Plaza, that's a lot of small
We
shops.
talked about that.
It's
last-
exactly where we were going, is it's
Yeah.
got to be a minimum of 40, I mean, we were talking about big stores only because of exactly this.
You don't
can't
want the
have.
clutter.
Yeah.
There's got to be some sort of minimum tenant space occupation to fit, so we avoid
Okay.
things like that.
That's what we'll tackle.
We're all thinking.
Yeah,
I like.
right. When we looked at the language, it was not easy. Okay,
Okay.
move that we adjourn?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.
Meeting adjourned.